So my 5 simple rules. Number 1, needs beat wants. Retailers that sell needs are beating retailers that sell wants in the marketplace. This is the simplest rule we see. If I sell products that are essential to people, I am winning in the marketplace. If I sell non-essential products, I am not. So if I think about Target today, a retailer that has worked really, really hard to become more of a need-based retailer and less of a want-based retailer, they didn't quite make it. Metaphor we always use for this is like if you've ever bought one of those really small totes umbrellas, like if the ones you buy on the street in New York for $25 when it starts raining, even though they're this big, and you try to put two people under them, especially if one of them is me, somebody always ends up like half dry and half wet. And Target as a need-based retailer is that person. They are half under the umbrella and half not. They have done a marvelous job of transitioning some of their shopping trips to more need-oriented merchandise. But today, a disproportionate share of Target's traffic driven through want and discretionary items. Those trips have gone away. So when you think about Walmart versus Target today from a performance perspective, the big difference is that Target has a much higher share of discretionary trips than Walmart does, and those trips have disappeared. So when you think about Target, the needs beat wants is a big piece of that. Number 2, value beats difference. And said here, I can be a differentiated retailer, but value's got to be at the core of my offer. Pure differentiation in this environment is very tough to sustain. Get outside of Walmart and Target for a second. The retailer that probably worries us more than any in this type of frame is Safeway, who did a marvelous job of creating a lifestyle format that enables them to sell food more as a want than a need at exactly the wrong moment in economic history. You could not have picked this any better. So now that they've got most of their stores rebattered into the lifestyle format, I've got 16 feet of olives, I've got a hot nut bar, whatever that is. Maybe a need, I don't know. I've got all sorts of exciting things going on there. I've created food as a want, and it's not what people are looking for. Now, what I'm looking for is value, not difference. And one of the real challenges that your differentiation-oriented retailers have is trying to communicate value in this context. And we'll take a look at that later. Trips beat basket adders. Retailers that own and drive shopping trips beat retailers that are good at upsell. Target, Greg Steinhoffel said on an analyst call recently that our shopper doesn't want to be tempted right now, which I thought was probably the best way to put that I've heard. In terms of what they're looking at from a shopper dynamic perspective. The other retailer in this context that gets pretty badly hurt is actually Walgreens. Because the whole Walgreens business model is you come into the store to buy one thing, you leave with 2.5. But if I'm not going to buy the other 1.5, Walgreens sales and profitability starts to run into real trouble. So impulse-oriented retailers struggle here because the basket adders are what people aren't buying. Trip consolidators dominate extra trip retailers. So the retailers that have been good at aggregating trips are winning versus the retailers that are, sort of that additional trip. This should shift a little bit as consumers readjust to lower fuel prices and get more comfortable going to more outlets again. And the last piece, financial conservatism beats financial adventure. And Target's credit card business, which for those of you that know us well, know we've talked about for years as a competitive advantage for them, in this marketplace, particularly from a market capitalization point of view, is not. Because people look at the credit business and they don't see value, they see risk.